The abortion issue continues to hamper Barack Obama months after Democratic rival Hillary Clinton challenged his support for Roe v. Wade. Now, according to the New York Sun, pro-life advocates are calling his abortion stance extremism. At issue is Senator Obama's vote against an Illinois law that would have protected infants born alive after a botched abortion procedure. Joining us now, syndicated columnist Ann Coulter, radio talk show host, he's nationally syndicated, Dennis Prager, and former Democratic pollster Pat Caddell. Ann Coulter, I'll start with you. The Born Alive Infant Protection Acts, they induce these abortions. I interviewed Jill Stanek. She's a nurse, Illinois, testified before Obama's committee. A baby with Down syndrome aborted, thrown in a spoiled utility room. She cradles this baby that's breathing for 45 minutes, and Barack Obama was the only senator to speak out against the bill that would have protected babies in that situation. Is that is that infanticide?
It's shocking.
It is.
Of course it's infanticide. Yeah, he's for a woman's right to choose through the 4th trimester. And even Barbara Boxer, whom until now was the most staunchly pro-abortion senator, even she spoke in favor of this bill. I mean, this is a child that is not bothering the woman anymore, is not going to make her depressed or affect her health. It's out of the woman's body. They tried to kill it, but somehow the baby made it out alive, sometimes missing an arm, but alive. And Barack Obama wants the doctors, chasing it through the delivery room to make sure it gets killed. And moreover, his remark about, the glib remark about, oh, when life begins, it's above my pay grade. What kind of moral principle says, I don't know when life begins, so kill it? No, if you don't know when life begins, you err on the side of life, at least if you're a decent human being.
Dennis Prager, and it's interesting because Barack is trying to squirm out of this. And he's trying to say, well, the state law it wasn't the same as the federal law, but in fact it was exactly the same.
True.
The truth is, what you just described, I'm hearing it for the first time now, Sean, what you just described is so odd that I would like to know what he would say. How could anybody, even the most staunch pro-choice person, argue morally that if the baby is in fact out, it is still the property of a human that can destroy it?
What he said, he was the only senator to rise against this bill in the Illinois State Senate, and he said this would end abortion or abortion rights. And that was his justification. Meanwhile, this nurse Stanek, I interviewed her Friday. We're going to have her on this week. She said she cradled this kid for 45 minutes in a soiled utility room.
I don't have a response except that I think, and I'll be curious to hear from Alan on this, because you must have, I'm sorry.
As a matter of fact, you hear from me right now. Let me go to Pat Caddell. First of all, let me get the other guest. Excuse me, let me get the other guest, and everybody gets to speak here. Pat, the fact of the matter is that Barack Obama was very clear. He felt, and other Democrats felt, that the language in the state bill was different than the one in the federal bill. And secondly, there already was protection in Illinois for this kind of thing. The suggestion that Barack Obama wants to go and chase babies once they're out of the womb and kill them is absurd, Pat. I'm sure you agree with that.
Well, I think a lot of voters will accept. The problem is that if you look at this has not been much of an issue, abortion, this year. People who feel strongly about it, evangelicals, for instance, have not been the most enthusiastic about John McCain. I think this may actually charge them up, which will be a problem for Obama. I'm confused, by the way, of what they voted on and when they didn't. They had several different laws.
There were 2 bills.
Hold on.
There are 2 different bills at 2 different times. But the point of the matter, the point of the fact is going to be, is that he's going to have to deal with this. I don't think this will go away very easily.
Do you really think that
I think most voters don't. I don't think people believe that he's for killing live children.
And you say he basically wants to go after a baby after it's born and make sure the baby is killed, even though there were already protections in the Illinois state law for that. Jill Stanek's baby was protected, and Barack Obama did not want to kill Jill Stanek's baby. You really believe that?
No, Pat Caddell is right. That is not true. And this excuse liberals use when they vote for heinous against laws that would stop heinous things, to say, oh, we don't need it anyway. Well, if you don't need it anyway, then what's the harm in voting for it?
Well, the law was already there. The harm in voting for it, Dennis Prager, was that the idea was to protect Roe versus Wade, which is why Barack Obama said he would have voted for the federal version, which had language in that particular bill.
He voted against the exact same bill.
Only Democrat who felt that way. That does put him.
Maybe he's the only person who was right.
That's possible, or he is the most extreme on that issue.
Or he happens
those are our options, and let the
so
American
I guess he doesn't go along with the crowd. That's true leadership.
Well, I don't know, not necessarily.
He voted against that exact same bill. He voted against that exact same bill. There were two bills. The bill he says he would have supported, he voted against. That is a lie.
They were not the same as the federal bill.
Yes, they were. There were two different bills in the Illinois election.
Hold on, guys.
There were two different bills.
Hold on, we're going to pick it up right there.
Entitled to human rights.
At the moment of conception?
I think that whether you're looking at it from a theological perspective or a scientific perspective, answering that question with specificity, is above my pay grade.
That was a scene at Saddleback Church on Saturday after Reverend Rick Warren asked both candidates to clarify their stance on abortion. That answer proving to be one of the more controversial ones for Obama. We now continue with Ann Coulter, Dennis Prager, and Pat Caddell. And when he said above my pay grade, Ann, of course, he's clearly talking about the fact that there are some things that are not for the government to do. Conservatives say liberals want too much government. There are some things between a person and their God. And God may be above his pay grade. I think that's what he was talking about, don't you?
Well, the government is making a decision whether this human can be killed or not.
No,
so
not.
Even if he wants to claim that the moral thing to do is, if you're not sure when life begins, say it's okay to kill it, as opposed to erring on the side of life, which, as I say, I think is what any decent human being would
what
say.
The government is saying is between a doctor
he does have to make a decision
and a woman
because
and her
the government
God.
decides when a human has rights, and that is not above the government's pay grade. It's saying that the baby doesn't have rights, even if it's born alive.
Pat
And by the way, I just want to clarify one thing on the bills.
Legislation in place
Wait,
for
can I just give you the facts on the bills?
And this is
because there were two bills in the Illinois legislature. One was voted down in his committee. That, I believe, is the one that was identical to the one the U.S. Senate considered that Barbara Boxer supported and Obama did not.
Let Pat speak here. Pat, this is about a personal choice that people want to make without the government getting involved between their doctor, their God, their partners, their family, and not have the government tell them what they should do about something like this.
Well, I think, that is a position. I think he should have said that. It was a little strange the way he used the language above my pay grade. It was a little odd. I thought he did very well, frankly, in the thing. I thought John McCain was actually very strong, much stronger. But the point is that on this Illinois thing, I'm not sure it will go away. In 2002, the Senate passed unanimously. Senator Kennedy, Barbara Boxer, as Ann said, and others, for this out-of-birth live baby bill. Now, the question is whether or not that was in Illinois. He says that wasn't, and there's now people saying it is, and that could be a problem if that's the case. I'm just saying, if not, he's got an argument, but if not, if he's wrong, he's got a problem.
Hey, let me go back to Dennis Prager. Dennis, Ann is 100,000% right that there were two versions of this, and one was identical, exactly identical, to the federal bill that he's saying, no, I would have supported that. So, number one, he's not being honest, but these were children that actually were born. This labor-induced abortion, the child is born, and in most cases, the child would die. The legislation would protect the children, like in the case of Jill Stanek, when she's holding a child for 45 minutes, that would be considered a life and it would be required to give medical care and medical attention. And he voted present.
Look, I return to my original question. It is so morally obvious that that bill should not be supported, or the bill should be supported, I should say, that it cannot but haunt him. I mean, there's no way around. Even people who are pro-choice, I would say half of those who are pro-choice will argue that. But here is the problem. The very rhetoric of the pro-choice movement, a woman can do what she wants with her own body, has always been morally problematic, because whatever you say, it's not her body. Yeah. Even if you are pro-choice, that's not a morally tenable position. It is in her body. No one asks a pregnant woman, how's your body? How's your baby, we ask.
Yeah. Ann Coulter, do you think this could be ultimately end up being a pretty big issue in the campaign? And your overall thoughts on what happened at Saddleback? I have never seen McCain better, and I want to know if Ann Coulter agrees with Sean Hannity that McCain was on his game. He was on his A game.
I was flashing you madly during that debate. I was shocked.
I didn't get it until the next day.
And you know what was interesting? I mean, he did so well that over on MSNBC they're accusing him of cheating and lying because they're very upset there wasn't actually a cone of silence. They think they need a Get Smart cone of silence, or Rick Warren is lying.
Can I go back to a point that's important here?
We got 10 seconds, Pat.
Yeah, look, I agree with Alan about the position most Americans feel about abortion. They've sort of reached their position. The problem is partial birth abortion overwhelmingly was opposed. If he misspoke on this, has a different record, he's got a real problem on this one.
We got a break. And Dennis, good to see you in studio. And Pat, thank you. When we come back.